Come onto your mat. We're actually going to start lying down. If you have blocks, that is great. If you don't worry about it. If you have a wall space, again, great, because we will be using that later. And we're going to start by rolling a blanket. So you've got a nice thick blanket to place parallel to the short edge of your mat. And come down over that blanket, resting the blanket so that it's at the bra line at the back of the body or towards the bottom of the shoulder blades. And then lie back over the blanket, choosing a position for the arms. It could be overhead, they could be out to each side, they could be bent in cactus position. And then choose a position for your legs. It could be bent, the knees just resting on the floor and the feet resting on the floor and the knees falling together. Or you might like to come into butterfly pose or Baddha Konasana, soles of the feet together, knees dropping out to either side. Use height under your head, another blanket or some other form of support if it's necessary. And take your time getting yourself set up. Relax the belly and the chest, relax the shoulders. Sink over your height, over your prop. Letting the spine drop off, drape off, and settling everything down. Take a couple of slow, deep breaths. Notice how it feels to bring your attention onto your breathing. And think about the last time you noticed the breath. The session today I've titled Stop to Start. So it's all about becoming still, stopping, thinking, getting the mind focused, and then moving. This very first pose of the class today is a full stop. We find our shape and then let ourselves sink into it. Only moving if we find that we're getting uncomfortable, we need to adjust our position. Otherwise, staying where we are. Letting the whole body rest, recline, focusing on the breathing. Noticing the cadence of your breath and where you're breathing into. Encourage the breath into the belly. Feel the belly lift as you inhale and release as you exhale. Turning the mind inward, focusing on that inner movement. Whenever you notice yourself losing track of your breathing, whenever you notice yourself stopping your focus on the present moment, onto your body, bring that attention back. Repeat this as many times as you need. You might find that it is something that you have to do regularly during a still pose. Exercising our mindful muscle. Letting go of those future thinking and past thinking thoughts. Letting yourself be solely in the present moment. And as you next exhale, begin to bring the knees together if you've had them in Baddha Konasana. And carefully roll to one side, lifting up onto your elbow to move your blanket out of the way completely and return to lying on your back. Bring your knees in towards your chest, hug the knees in and give the back body, a little massage, rolling across the shoulders. Letting the inner groin release if you had been in butterfly pose. No longer stretching through the adductors, but letting the inner thighs and inner groin be soft, relaxed. Keep your right knee tucked into your body and stretch the left leg along the floor. Interlock your hands over the shin of that right leg and pull the knee towards your chest, letting the weight of the arms sink downward. Feel into the belly. We're stopping here before we start. Stopping in this movement where the thigh is pushing against your belly, creating pressure on the internal organs. And then release the hold a little bit so that the knee or the thigh isn't quite so pulled in. And begin to circle your ankle, circling your right ankle in one direction. Noticing if there's any clicking. And then circle in the other direction. Coming to stillness with this ankle, release the hold of your hands and keep your right hand on your right knee. Relax your left arm beside you and begin to circle the right knee. So whilst we're making circles with the knee, the focus is on the coxal joint, that ball and socket joint of the hip. Circling the knee one way, and then pause and circle the other way. And then coming to stillness, stretch the right foot up towards the ceiling and interlock your hands behind your right thigh. Check in with how strong this feels in the back of the right leg. You might like to bend your left knee and place the foot on the floor so that you've not got too much of a strain in the back of the right leg. Reach the heel up towards the ceiling, pull the toes back. If you like using a strap, you can always use a strap in this position. But otherwise, stay with the hands interlocked behind the thigh. Relax the shoulders. It's a little bit of traction with the hands against the hamstrings as your body starts to open. Visualize that you have a third lung in the back of the right leg and breathe into that lung. Sink both hips downward. And as you exhale next, release the hold of your hands. Let your left arm relax beside you. If you haven't bent your left leg already, bend it now just for a little bit of stability. And then begin to open your right leg to the right. I've got my right hand resting on the outer thigh, quite close to the knee, and the right elbow's leveraging off the floor. The right leg is opening to the right. The left leg can stay where it is, or it can open to the left as a counterbalance. You want to try and maintain your sacrum, that fused bones at the back of the body, just above the tailbone. You want to maintain that being balanced and flat on the earth, so your pelvic bone isn't tilting. The leg might not come out very far. Again, we're stretching into that inner thigh region, just as we did in butterfly pose. And as you inhale, bring yourself back to center. And from here, we're going to come into a twist, taking the right leg across the body Stretching the left leg away from you so you've got room to twist the right leg to the left. Open the right arm to the right if that's comfortable for you. You might like to circle it around your head. Take the inside of the right foot all the way to the floor and maybe support that leg, that straight leg, with your left hand, resting it somewhere on that leg so the weight of the hand and arm helps to keep the leg in place. Feel the body revolving. After a few breaths, you might find you want to relax a little bit more here. Maybe bring a slight bend into one or both legs. Take the head and neck into a relatively neutral position so you're not feeling strain through your neck. And focus on sending the breath into the belly. As you next inhale, prepare your body for movement. And on exhalation, we're slowly going to bring ourselves back around to lying in a central position on our mat. Bring both knees in towards your chest and then lift to the feet, taking hold of the outside of the feet, coming into happy baby. If happy baby doesn't really work for you, you can always hold the arms around the backs of the knees or the backs of the thighs, or you can just hug the knees into your chest. You'll find that position that works for you. And then you might like to rock slightly from side to side. Massaging the kidneys and the spine. And a little bit of movement into the hip space. As you next exhale, coming back to center, taking the right foot down to the floor and stretching the leg away from you, keeping the left knee tucked in towards the chest. Interlock your hands around that shin and pull the knee inward. Taking some deep, slow breaths, feeling the compression of the thigh as it pushes into your belly. Giving some stimulation on to the stomach and the spleen on the side and the descending colon. Again, stopping to start. And once you're ready for some movement, begin to circle your left ankle. Circling in one direction, letting the hands relax a little so you're no longer pulling that thigh in towards your belly. And then circle the ankle the other direction. Releasing your right arm to rest beside you. Keep your left hand on your left knee and begin to circle that knee. Painting lovely big circles into the air. Waking up the coxal joint on the left side of our pelvic bone. Circling around where the head of the femur bone meets the pelvic bone. And then circle the other way. Coming to stillness, interlock your hands around the back of your thigh and stretch the left foot up towards the ceiling. Push up with the heel, pull back with the toes, and maybe bend your right leg so that you're taking a little bit of the pressure out of that left leg. Means you can be a little more comfortable in this pose. Keep the heel pushing up. This is another place that you can do ankle circles if you'd like to. Visualizing that third lung in the back of the leg, breathing into that space. Not forgetting about the original two lungs, continuing to keep them expanding and contracting. And as you next exhale, release your arms. Keep your left hand outside the left thigh. Let the left leg start to open to the left. Maybe the right leg counterbalances that by opening to the right. The aim here is to keep the sacrum or the pelvic bone completely level so that you're not tilting to one side or the other, but are quite balanced against the earth. Feel the sensation into the inner thigh and into the groin. Let the weight of that leg rest on the left hand, the left elbow into the floor. Let the shoulders relaxed. As you next inhale, bring your both legs back to center if you had your right leg open to the other side. And we're going to come into that twist now. Stretch the right leg away from you and bring the left foot all the way across to the floor, letting your right hand support that left leg, resting the hand on top of the leg wherever it's comfortable. Inside of the foot to the earth, or you can support it if you'd like to on something. The left arm is either out open to the side or curled around your head. Wringing out the belly here. Take a few breaths with quite straight legs. And then if that's too strong to stay for a long time, let the legs soften a little, the foot maybe sliding down, putting a little bend in the knees. So you decide how strong this pose is. Focus on breathing fully into both lungs. And the front body open. Each of the vertebrae of the spine revolving on their axis. Taking the spine into a different shape. As you next take a breath in, prepare yourself for movement. And as you exhale, slowly begin to unwind, returning to your back, readjusting yourself on your mat. Taking a couple of breaths here with the arms resting beside you, the knees bent, the feet wide apart, and the knees falling in toward one another. And then bringing the feet and knees into alignment with each other, take the arms down beside you. And as you inhale, raise the arms overhead, lifting the hips. And you can keep the arms there the whole time, or you can let the arms move with the body. So as you exhale, the arms may return down beside you, the back resting on the floor, the buttocks releasing. And as you inhale, you can lift. You can keep the arms there if you want, and exhale, release the spine and the buttocks, but keep the arms overhead. Inhale, lift. You choose how much action you'd like in the shoulders and the arms. either keeping them beside you or keeping them overhead or moving them in relation to the body, lifting and lowering in dynamic low bridge. Move with your breath. Inhale on the lift. Exhale on the lower. One last time, inhaling on the lift. And then exhale on the lower, bringing the arms back beside you. Keep the arms down for a moment while we get used to this next action. As you exhale, bring the knees into the chest and then stretch the legs up. Actually, make that an inhale. And then on the exhale, release the knees back to the chest and take the feet to the floor. So now we're working more of the abdominal area. Exhale the knees to the chest, inhale the knees to the chest and reach the legs up. Exhale the knees into the chest and take the feet to the earth. Feel the abdominal region turning on. You can include the arms if you'd like to, taking them overhead as you bring the legs straight up and returning them down beside you as the legs come down to the floor. So it's a double movement with the legs. On the in-breath, they pull into the chest and then reach up. And on the out-breath, they pull into the chest and then the feet return to the floor. A single movement with the arms though, or keeping the arms static in one or other position that works for you. And then if you'd like to, we can combine these two ways of working. Starting with the arms down beside you. As you inhale, raise the hips up, take the arms overhead. As you exhale, lower the arms, lower the hips. As you inhale, take the arms overhead, bring the knees to the chest and then stretch the feet to the sky. And then exhale, knees to chest, feet to floor and arms lower down beside you. Back into that low bridge pose option, lifting the hips, raising the arms. Exhale, lower hips, lower arms. Inhale, knees in and feet up. Exhale, knees in and feet down. Keep going, alternating through these two poses. Finding the different spaces in the body that we're activating as we breathe and as we move. Can you keep your breath steady and slow? Are you able to maintain the rhythm of movement and breath being coordinated with each other? One last time, moving through each of these different variations. And then let yourself be still for a couple of breaths. Maybe keep the knees bent or maybe stretch the legs out. You're ready to push into your feet or bend the knees and push into your feet, rolling yourself around to tabletop. Bringing the knees under the hips and the hands under the shoulders. As you inhale, let the belly drop down and lift the head. As you exhale, pull your belly up around your back, dropping the head down. Inhale back into cow pose and exhale to cat pose. A little bit of circling action if you'd like, taking the rib cage to one side and then circling around to cow, rib cage to the other side and then to cat. And try and get your head moving in the opposite direction to the torso for a little bit of added complication. It's quite fun to see if you can coordinate your brain to move the body in one direction and the head circling the other way. And then pause and change direction. Head circling clockwise while the body circles anti-clockwise, or vice versa. And then coming towards stillness, exhale. Take the buttocks back to the heels. Stretch the arms out and then relax the forearms against the floor. Let your forehead come down to the earth. Settle yourself inside the thighs. We're stopping before we start. Coming to stillness first. Checking in with our body. Where are we at? How do we feel? How are we breathing? From here, we're going to start some movement, but take 2 more breaths in the still pose. As you inhale, bring the hands beside the knees and lift yourself up into upright kneeling, bringing the arms overhead. As you exhale, fold yourself forward, bringing the arms down in front of the body and stretched out. Inhale, slide the arms back to the knees and reach the arms up as you lift on your in-breath. And exhale, slowing the breath down as you slowly fold, bowing forward into child's pose. Inhale, lift yourself back up, raising the arms. Exhale, slowly fold forward. Pause as you come down, and then on the inhalation, take the arms out to the left-hand side, stretching through the right side of the body. Exhale, bring the arms back to center. And then inhale, stretch the arms to the right-hand side. And exhale, bring the arms back to center. Inhale, hands towards the knees, lifting up, looking up towards the ceiling. Exhale, slowly folding down. Think how slow you can make your descent. Inhale, hands towards the knees, inhaling on the arms, coming up, and exhaling, slowly coming down. Big, deep inhalation to lift. Long, slow exhalation to lower. Keep going, a few more rounds. Seeing how slowly you can let your out breath release. How slowly you can lower yourself down towards the floor. One more complete cycle, inhaling up, exhaling, slowly lowering down. And then let the arms rest beside the legs, forehead to the earth. Or if you need support, you can take a blanket under the forehead or the stacked hands. Taking a few slow, deep breaths here. As you inhale, lift the head and chest, slide the hands forward. Plant the hands on the mat, tuck the toes and lift yourself up into down dog. Let yourself take a moment to set up so the feet are a comfortable distance apart, hip point distance apart. We're not really wide out to the edges of our mat, neither are our big toes touching. Just a comfortable distance apart. The hands the same distance apart as your shoulders, maybe turned out slightly the fingers, So the index finger's facing forward rather than the middle finger. That can be more comfortable for the shoulders. And then let yourself be still for a few breaths. See if you can notice all the different joints of the body, all the different places that down dog touches. As you next exhale, let yourself move forward into plank pose and then bend the knees and roll yourself back into down dog and straight away into plank. So we're circling our body from down dog to plank and straight back to down dog. Not pausing in any of these positions, making it a continuous circle. And then from down dog, let your knees bend, step your right foot forward and let the back knee come down to the floor. Take a moment to be still, to stop, and ensure that you're set up comfortably. Your front ankle is under the knee. The back knee is resting on the earth, but it's comfortable there. Use a blanket or some padding underneath it if you need to. Let your left hand be supported on the earth, and then inhale, raise the right arm up, opening your chest towards that right knee, and then float that arm down. Inhale, raise the arm up. Exhale, float. One more time, inhale, raise the arm up, and exhale, float it down. And then be balanced on the legs. Push into the shin, the back leg, and the foot and the front leg. And inhale, lift yourself up. And exhale, float the hands down, letting the chest come forward. Inhale, lift the chest, float the arms. Exhale, bring them down again. One last time, inhale, float the arms up. And exhale, float the arms down. Planting the hands, tuck the back toes, and lift yourself back into downward dog. You can decide on your rebound. You can be still in down dog. You can rest in child's pose, or you can take that circling action, moving into plank pose, bending the knees, lifting the tail back into down dog, and straight away circling back to plank. Slightly different action than what we do normally in our shoulders and our hips. So it's good to get a little bit of different movement going. And then wherever you are, we're going to make our way into low lunge with the left foot forward. So from down dog, let the knees bend, step that left foot forward, lower the back knee to the floor. If you want to make this more difficult, you can always keep the back knee lifted into fire breathing dragon. Take a moment to stop. Check your alignment, ankle under knee, supporting the joints, letting the bones do some of the work. Make sure that the back knee is comfortable on the earth and take padding under it if you need to. The right hand firmly planted on the floor, or making a fist if that works better for your wrist. And then we're going to inhale, raise and fly the left arm back behind us, opening the chest in the direction of front knee. Exhale, float that hand down. Inhale, open. Exhale, release down. Last time, inhale, open. Exhale, release down. Push firmly into the back shin and the front foot. Inhale, lift yourself upright. Exhale, float the arms down. Inhale, lift upright. Exhale, float. One last time. Inhale, lift the arms up. Exhale, float the arms down. Planting the hands here, tuck the back toes and step yourself back into downward dog. Walk the dog out here. Pedal your heels, pushing one heel at a time towards the floor, stretching out the calf and the hamstring, those spaces we've already accessed. And let the knees be soft. Look towards your hands. Step your right foot forward. Keep your right hand down. Take your back heel to the floor and inhale, lift the left arm, coming up into side angle. We're going to stretch our left arm up over our head, bending more fully into that right knee. Staying in stillness for a couple of breaths. Opening up from the left ankle all the way to the left wrist. Stretching along the side body. And then straighten that right leg, lifting up into Trikonasana. You can have a block supporting your right hand. You can be lifted up, holding onto your shin. As you inhale, reach the left arm up past the head, curving the side body. Stay here for a couple of breaths. So we're in triangle pose, but we're curving our spine in a lateral direction. And then as you exhale, walk your hands to the floor and revolve yourself so that you now have both feet facing relatively straight forward, a little bit pigeon-toed. Take a breath in here, lift the chest, ground one hand down. And then on your next in-breath, lift the right arm up. Exhale, float it down, changing sides. Inhale, left arm comes up, right hand stays down. Exhale, float it down. Then we're going to walk towards our back foot, swiveling on our feet. So now our left foot is facing the front edge of the mat. The back. What was the back is now the front. The left hand is supported on the floor. The left knee is bent. The right leg is straight, heel down, toes turned in. Reach your right arm past your right ear. Trying for length between the wrist and the ankle down that right side of the body. Nice deep breaths into the belly. And then as you inhale, straighten that leg, lift up a little bit, coming into triangle pose. And then take your right arm past your ear, curving the torso. Normally we try and keep both sides of our waist long in triangle pose. But in this instance, we're trying to get some lateral flexion of the spine. So the left waist is shortening, the right waist is lengthening. And then as you exhale, release the hands to the floor, walking back around through Pasarita Padottanasana. Inhale, lift the chest, and as you exhale, let yourself fold here. Hands can be in line with the feet or underneath the head if you prefer. A simple forward fold. And then inhale, lift the chest, walking back around to the front of the mat, stepping yourself back into downward dog. Bringing the knees down to the floor, taking the buttocks to the heels and resting in child's pose for a couple of breaths. And as you next inhale, lift the head and chest, move your legs off to one side and stretch the legs out in front of you. And here we're going to make some circles with our arms. Inhale, stretch the arms up. As you exhale, fold forward, circling the arms around, bringing them back towards the body. Inhale, reach the arms up. Exhale, circle them around. Keep that flow going. Moving with your breath. Noticing the difference between the left leg and the right. Can you feel any difference in the length of those legs and the feeling of the muscles, tightness, any pain, discomfort? Do they feel quite balanced? How do the hips feel, the left compared to the right? You're going to come into a forward fold. Inhale, raise the arms up. Exhale, let yourself fold forward. Relaxing the front body, gently rounding the back body. Letting your arms rest wherever they're comfortable. Could be out beside the legs. Maybe the arms are crossed over the shins. Maybe you take some support, a blanket, a bolster, blocks. Let your shoulders relax. Let the head find a comfortable place to hang. Focus on your breathing. As you next inhale, prepare yourself for movement. And on the exhalation, begin to lift yourself back up to center. Bring your right knee up. And you take the right foot across the body, coming into half shoelace. If half shoelace doesn't work for you, if it creates pain in your ankle, you can step that foot on the floor instead outside the thigh. So you choose where you want to be with that leg. And take a breath in here, lifting the chest up. And as you exhale, we're twisting to the right. You can use your left arm as leverage outside the right knee. The right hand behind you, lifting, helping to lift the torso upward. So the spine is long, we're not dropping back to that hand behind us. And you can use a block or a blanket underneath it if you need to. You can also use a blanket under your sitting bones if needed. You can turn your head to look over either shoulder. Try both and check with what feels best for you. What gives you the most interesting sensation today? Looking over the left shoulder or looking over the right? Let your belly be soft. Imagine that you're trying to wring out your torso, or particularly wring out your abdomen, just like wringing out a sponge. And as you next inhale, bring yourself back to the front, releasing that right leg, stretching it out. And changing sides, bringing the left knee in towards your chest. Taking the foot across the thigh, either to step on the floor or to come into half shoelace with the outside of the foot resting on the earth. Inhale, take a breath in here. And as you exhale, begin to twist to the left this time, using the left hand behind you to lift away from the earth so that you're propping yourself upward. The spine is straight. Let the belly relax. And then choose the position for your head. You could look over your left shoulder to keep the head turning in the same direction as the rest of the spine. Or for a little bit of counter movement, you could turn your head to look over your right shoulder. It's an interesting proposition to have the head turn the opposite way to what the spine is moving. Sometimes when you do that, it means you can open through the left shoulder a little bit more, get a little bit more movement in the vertebrae of the thoracic and lumbar spine. Try both. See what works for you. It's good to alternate too, to not always do exactly the same movement that you did the last time. Give your body a different shape. Take it into positions you don't normally embody, for want of a better word. As you next inhale, bring yourself back to the front, releasing that left leg. We're going to make our way to a wall space now. If you don't have one, don't worry about it. You can do this all in the centre of the room. But we're just bringing ourselves to the wall, so we've got a little bit of extra support. If you have a block, grab it now. We're going to be using a block for under the head. We're going to come into down dog and hold our down dog for a little bit of time. If you've got a down dog, or if you've got really tight hamstrings, you potentially will want to have your block on a higher setting, maybe even this setting. I've got hard wooden blocks, which hurt my poor delicate head, so I like to use a blanket over top of them. We're going to come into our down dog shape with the balls of the feet on the floor and the heels up the wall. It might take you a moment to set yourself up to get in a comfortable position. You want to have those balls of the feet where they work for you. So I like to have my heels a little bit down. I could take them really high on the wall as well if I'm feeling like I want a lot of lift in this pose, but it depends where you're feeling today. So for me, I'm going to have the heels sort of on a medium level. I could go lower, but I'm not going to. The hands are far enough away from the feet so that my forehead or the hairline of my head can rest on the block. It might take a little bit of time to wriggle and jiggle and get yourself supported here. Make it so that you can push into your heels and feel some stimulation in the back of the leg, that the head is supported, but the neck is not cramped, and the hands are resting comfortably on the earth. And we're going to focus on breathing here, taking some slow, deep breaths, noticing which parts of the body we're feeling the stimulation the most, and let yourself soften into the pose. Down dog is active, it is a young pose, but we want to try and make it as yin as we possibly can. If you have too much weight in the arms, see if you can take more weight into the legs. What micro adjustments do you need to make? If you start to fatigue, if this pose starts to become a burden, make your way into child's pose and rest there. Or if you can, stay for a little longer. When we stay in these poses, especially active ones, it gives us a chance to observe what's happening. Where can you feel this pose? Is it in your shoulders? Is it in your toes? Is it in your wrists? Is it in your hips? Watch and observe, using it as a learning tool. And then when you're ready to, bring the knees down to the floor. Sit the buttocks back onto your heels. Move your prop out of the way. We will be using it again in a moment. But for now, let yourself rest down. Let the arms become heavy beside you. Let the forehead be supported. And you could use your prop for that if your forehead doesn't comfortably reach the earth. Lift the earth to your forehead. If you don't have a wall space, you could have been doing this pose just in the middle of the room. And same for the next variation. Don't worry about the wall if you don't have one. You can do all these poses without the wall. You've had enough of a rest. Lift yourself back upright. Bring your prop back into the center of your mat. And then come up into a wide leg down dog. So the feet are wide apart. The soles of the feet are completely on the floor, but the back of the heel is resting against the wall. The whole of the back of the leg and the buttocks are against the wall. Take your forehead down. You might find that your support is too far away from you, as in it's too low. So you can make your support higher, coming up onto the high edge of your block or bulk or whatever you happen to be using. Again, you're supporting your forehead towards the hairline. Letting the feet be fully resting on the floor, pushing into the earth, and then lifting up the back of both legs. And you'll be able to feel that lift because the wall is there, or if the wall is there, to give you that sense of movement, that sense that the body is working. And you might notice that as you stay in this pose a few more breaths, the body opens enough, or maybe you move your legs a little wider apart so that your forehead comes a little lower, and you change the position of your prop. You can stretch your arms out, but there won't be much weight on your hands. It's a lovely lengthener for the spine and great work for the backs of the legs. Let the wall support you if you're using one. Get the shoulders tucked into the body. So the neck has got space, so we're not cramping our neck or condensing it, compressing it, rather letting it be long. And you do need to make sure you have the right height under your head. This is a really lovely pose if you've had a frantic day. You can come into this pose at the end of the day. It's a beautiful way to calm the mind, to soothe the senses, to take us into our parasympathetic nervous system and let the sympathetic nervous system have a wee break. Make sure that you continue to breathe. You can bring a little pressure into your hands and firmly push your buttocks back into the wall behind you. Play with this pose and notice the different parts of the body and how it feels when you take muscular work into them and how it feels when you relax. As you next exhale, carefully move away from the wall, bring your knees down to the earth, and we're going to rest once more in child's pose, taking your prop off to the side unless you need it to support your head. Your knees just a little apart so your torso is supported on the inside of the legs. Let the arms rest down beside you. You can let the forehead be on the floor or your support. Your head could be turned to one side or the other. Find that place that you can completely surrender. All some hard work that we were doing in our legs. But give yourself this time to recover. Let the tissues recoil. As you inhale, push your hands into the floor, lift your head gently, carefully. You would head down or in an inversion for a while. And then come around to sit beside the wall. If you're not using a wall, you can lie onto your back and take your legs straight up in the air for waterfall. If you do have a wall, come into Viparita Karani. So one hip comes up the wall slightly and then revolve around so that your legs are now lifted, resting on the wall. The buttocks are nice and close. It will depend on how open your hamstrings are. If you've got very tight hammies, your butt may need to be further away. You can use a blanket under your head if you need to. You can put height under your sacrum. So one of the options is to bend the knees, lift the hips and slide a roll blanket or a block under the sacrum. I'm really happy not using one, so I'm leaving my buttocks resting on the floor. For a moment, stretch the heels up and pull the toes down. Find a comfortable place for the arms. This could be just lying beside you, or you might like to bring the arms overhead to get some stimulation through the shoulders. And then let the legs relax. So we're not keeping muscular holding in the legs. Allow the feet to fall out to either side of the legs, however they naturally would like to be. Make sure that the arms are comfortable, that you're not bringing strain into the neck or the shoulders. The shoulder blades are released. This pose is really good before bed at night, particularly if you've had a day where you've been on your feet a lot or the legs are feeling particularly fatigued. Come into this pose and let the legs rest up the wall, focusing on your breathing, letting the mind calm and still. If you're doing this yourself at night before bed, you could stay here for as short as 5 minutes, or you could stay for longer. 10 or 15 minutes is totally fine, even 20 or more than that. What you want to be careful about is not feeling dizzy when you come out. So when you are doing this at night and you stay here for a really long time, come and lie on your side for a minute or two before sitting upright afterwards. You're going to be here for just a few more breaths, letting the weight of your hips, letting the weight of your shoulders and arms sink towards the earth. Feeling how the legs become a little bit lighter, particularly if you're supported on the wall. You could be doing this with your legs up into the centre of the room. You probably won't want to stay there as long if your legs aren't supported by the wall. You can always bring them down and rest the feet on the floor if needed. When you're ready to make your way into Shavasana, let your knees bend and roll, either roll to one side and come up to sitting and then into Shavasana, or you could, if you prefer, just push against the wall with your feet to make your way into a lying down position. Making sure that you push away from the wall enough so that your feet aren't being restricted by the wall. You don't want to have anything pressing on the feet or stopping the feet from falling into their natural position. Set yourself up for Shavasana so that the whole body is comfortable, so that you're fully reclined against the earth, taking a blanket over you if that's a benefit. And choosing a point to start your focus on. Let that point relax and then spread your attention throughout your body. Everywhere the mind rests, send the breath, the focus, and invite it to relax. Systematically working through each part of your body until your whole body feels relaxed against the earth. And you can continue to do this as you stay in Shavasana. Keep moving the mind through different parts of the body, becoming aware of each different part. Nothing to do, nowhere to go. Just breathe. Releasing your focus on your breathing, begin to prepare your body for movement. Start small. Give your fingers a wriggle. Stretch out your toes, your feet, your hands, your wrists, your ankles. And then build up until you're stretching out your whole body. The limbs far away from each other, reaching and opening, waking your whole body up. As you feel ready to bend your knees, and you could roll to the side first, or you could make your way directly up to sitting. And then the hands together in prayer position in front of the heart space, gently bowing the head in honour of your practice. Namaste.